Hi guys, a very good afternoon. Maswera say. There is a tweet which we need to take a look at from Solomon Harudzibwi. Nkomasolo says, mbijana mbijana tinongozobuda hedu patimire. And this was in response to a tweet which was done by Job Sikhala's spokesperson Freddy. And in that tweet, he had said there were serious allegations of electoral fraud in DRC as they were in Zimbabwe. President HH attends inauguration of President-elect Felix Tshisekedi and was absent in Zimbabwe. Help me understand, what could be the reason for such an inconsistent approach from the SADC chair? And this is a very important question. Before we go any further, let us take a look on what other people had to say. Did they have fast type of operations in DRC? Don't you think context matters in regards to the rigging too? Like did they have polling stations spending a whole day without polling material? Okay, and I was following Al Jazeera and reports suggested they were shambolic. Okay. Did they also have? Did they also receive ballots 24 hours after voting in Zaire? Okay, so it is the extent of electoral fraud. I get it. I hope we have elections transparent, free, and fair, as in Zambia and SA in future. Okay. So zvikanzipana finally wazobuda musaga mfano your ZANU-PF project. Okay, because I asked the question, my brother, at times you love controversy. For a change agent, I believe you are this a low blow. Okay, I think for a person who went to school, it's very low to fail to answer a simple question. So are you saying HH is a Chamisa sympathizer, but not your boss, Chabangu? And I think he's actually your boss. You seem to talk about him more than you talk about your wife or girlfriend. Okay. So SEOM, you mean they had different findings? Okay. And the reason is DRC is not Zimbabwe. And who told you that there were serious allegations of electoral fraud in Congo since the report from observer missions is not yet out? So let us tackle this matter in Zimbabwe, and I'm going to give my honest opinion. So first and foremost, if you take a look on the DRC case, the SEOM report about DRC elections is quite different. The irregularities are not cited as the ones you see right here in Zimbabwe. The most affected areas in DRC were areas with conflict. Those were the most affected areas in terms of distribution of ballots. And these are areas in conflict, armed conflict. So that is understandable, and I don't believe that you would pin all the blame on the election commission of DRC. Then we have an issue about the SEOM report. That is the principal guideline of how the elections were conducted. Once the election report comes and it says it passed the tests of a democratic election or the guidelines, then you cannot dismiss an entire election. As it is said each and every time, there is no perfect election. For example, I can tell you that Nelson Chamisa got around 54% in the just ended election, according to the actual results, which were manipulated later, and he was given 44%. But you'd understand that if you are to dig deeper, you'd understand that he even got far more than that. So you clearly understand, Guti, if the election result was declared as it was going to be far much better. Take a look on the key contender in the DRC elections. He didn't even fight the election results because he believed that he failed dismally. in that election, and he's not even speaking much about his losses. There is nothing he is actually talking about. So how can then the SADC say otherwise when the opposition leader in DRC is quiet? That is very important to note. Just imagine if Nelson Chamisa was quiet and was accepting the actual results, what would happen thereafter? So that is another scenario. But let us take a look on FAS. How was FAS operating? FAS was operating as a semi military wing. FAS was so dangerous. FAS could even visit candidates in their homes. I can testify to that. FAS was visiting candidates in their homes, victimizing them, threatening them. FAS was walking village by village, documenting people. Every person at Pamba Pako was being documented if you were a candidate or if you were a Triple C supporter. And they clearly indicated that 2008 was going to come back if ZANU-PF lost the elections. So that is something different. That is something. If you take a look on how elections were conducted in Mozambique and compare with how they were conducted here in Zimbabwe, you would see a major difference. So you would understand. Good, yes, these elections were not up to the actual standard of democratic elections, but at least candidates were able to do what they were supposed to be doing. Unlike in Zimbabwe, where Nelson Chamisa was barred by the police, was denied access to the electorate several times, and all this which is happening right now. In DRC, there are no reports of the ruling party disbanding the opposition, the official opposition. There are no such reports. But right here in Zimbabwe, there are reports which are there. Shavangu is there to actually show you what they can do. So, more importantly, let us take a look on a very important point right here. I know you might dismiss some points which I have raised, but let us talk about this very important point. Soon after the elections, Hakainde Hichilema was in trouble. Hakainde Hichilema was actually attacked left, right, and center by ZANU-PF people. He was labeled a sellout simply because of the findings of the of the SEOM. And how would he have come to Zimbabwe under such circumstances? How would he have attended such an inauguration where he was being threatened left, right, and center simply because of an SEOM? So many things were spoken about the head of SADC election observer mission, and so many insults were leveled against Zambia itself as a nation. So if you take a look on what was happening in Zambia, some comrades within Zambia started even to attack Hakainde Hichilema. And these include the former president of Zambia, who was then invited and was given a warm reception right here in Zimbabwe. How would Hakainde Hichilema, how would he have risked coming to Zimbabwe under such circumstances? So any normal person would understand what was happening. It was out of order. Honestly, it was out of order. The attacks on Hakainde Hichilema were no longer interesting at all, because this is a president of another republic. He was being bashed left, right, and center, and people expected him to be in Zimbabwe. It was going to be a very dangerous situation. So let us take a look on going to be very difficult. That didn't even come